you're dealing with hair loss, imagine having a personal assistant to assist you on your hair journey. Does it sound too good to be true? It's not. Today, I'm going to share with you how AI can be your personal assistant to help you on this hair journey. Let's get started. Hi, my name is Lynn, and welcome back to my channel. So, I'm a middle aged woman who was diagnosed with early scarring alopecia and had excessive hair loss a few years back. And after prayer and a holistic approach over the last couple of years, the hair loss has essentially reversed, as well as the excessive or the potential for balding or formal scarring. And so, I'm still on the learning and healing process and using this channel to share what I'm learning in hopes that it encourages and supports you as well. So today we're diving into AI as a personal assistant. So whether you're just starting on the journey or you've been on it for a while, we're going to dive into a couple of quick strategies that you can use that can help you along the way. It's fall on the East Coast here in the United States. So as you can see, I'm in my scarf. And you'll see more of these scarves over the next few weeks because it is certainly scarf season here. So let's get started. So, do you use AI? I use it in multiple ways. One, of course, is for what our topic is today, but also at work, I use it for editing, for helping with drafting emails or really for editing emails, and for even sometimes idea generation. Like I might use it for creating a schedule or for planning. And so I've come to find that it is a really helpful tool and a personal assistant. And so it made me kind of think like, especially since I started using it for my hair journey in a couple of different ways, I was like, well, maybe it might be helpful for you as well. So I'm going to share what I'm learning. I'm going to share how I've been using it and some tips. And maybe you're already using these, or maybe it'll spark your ideas to help you generate even a few other ways that you might think about using it. So let's get started. So first, let me do a quick 30-second high-level overview of what is AI. AI, or artificial intelligence, is technology that allows computers to perform tasks that typically require human intelligence. It works by analyzing large amounts of data to recognize patterns, make decisions, and often improving its performance over time. And so some common examples are voice assistants like Siri or Alexa. That is a version of AI. And then there's other places where, you might be using it, not even knowing that you're using it, when it's making recommendations on websites or shopping or filtering email. So all of those are different ways that AI is at work. There's also something called language learning models, LLMs, and they are models or tools like ChatGPT. Claude is another one that I use regularly. Microsoft Copilot is another learning language model. And those are advanced AI systems that are trained on vast amounts of text data. They can understand and generate human-like text, answering questions, writing content, editing content, synthesizing information, all of the above on a wide range of topics. There are free versions and there are paid versions. I use all the free versions currently. And again, AI can be used in multiple ways. I'm actually at the end going to give some tips on things just to be mindful of, but let's get started and walk through some examples of how you can use AI. The first tip is going to be around research and information. So I'm going to use Microsoft Pilot for these exercises today. I actually tried Microsoft Pilot, Claude, and ChatGPT for these different prompts that I'm going to share with you. And I realized that Microsoft Pilot was actually the most accurate one. And that's the another thing to be mindful of. It's a learning language model, which means sometimes the information is either not accurate or it might be not as concise. And so it is important to test out and to try out and to do your own research even behind what it delivers. So that's just the tip to be mindful of as you're using the platforms. So again, our first tip is going to be on research and information gathering. So today we're going to try out looking up and trying to find a list of dermatologists. How many of us have been in the process where we are trying to find the best dermatologist or trichologist or even a hairstylist? And we're usually that information is going to come through a referral, or you could even look on the websites. But then, of course, who has time to go through pages and pages and pages of websites? So you can use AI to help you distill some of that information and help you find at least a short list of potential dermatologists or hairstylists or trichologists. For the example, today we're going to use dermatologists. So let's take a look at this exercise.
So I'm going to ask it to provide a list of dermatologists, of the top dermatologists in the Philadelphia region. I think I'm going to ask for a 30-mile radius, and I want them to specialize in hair loss treatment. And I'm also going to state that I'm looking for experts with strong reputations and positive reviews, and I want the content in a table. I personally enjoy getting resources like this in a table format. And at the bottom, I'm also asking for it to give me links to ZocDocs and Health Grades, which are review sites. So what you'll see is it's going to pull up a list of the dermatologists. It's also going to pull up a list of their ratings and the sources of where they got the review information. At the very bottom, you'll see the link to ZocDoc and Health Grades, where you can go in and double check those references. You can see this is a pretty comprehensive list of dermatologists, and it gives you a little starting point on where to go to start doing that next leg of research. You can also download this spreadsheet in Excel.
So another way you can use it is when it comes to understanding sometimes maybe your diagnosis, or if you hear about a medical term, there's another way you can tap into it. So one of the examples for me, when I received my pathology report, I received what's called a differential diagnosis. And so one of the things that you can do with some of your medical reports, now be very careful, never use your personal name, any personal identifying information. Do not use that in the system or on these platforms. But one example that I thought was really interesting is I asked it to explain what a differential diagnosis is between three different hair types of alopecias. So let's look at that and see what happened
So
there.
we're going to ask it to explain what a differential diagnosis of telogen effluvium, central, centrifugal, cicatricial alopecia, and androgenic alopecia means, because those are number one ones that were on my report, but then also I've seen that there's sometimes this combination is common. And so what it will do, it will describe the diagnosis and what it means, which is a great starting point. Be helpful for those who want to get a little bit more information or want to dive a little deeper into their diagnosis.
You can do this with your own. You can try your own examples as well. And actually, I also got this tip from Alicia. She was in one of our previous videos. Did an amazing job on this video talking about hair scams. But we did an exercise where we took a medical exam report information, pathology report, and plugged it in, no identifying information, and asked it to kind of analyze this information. So that's another unique way. The other thing that I would recommend if you do something like that, I would highly recommend that once you get that information, it's always good to go back to your doctor and say, hey, does this resonate? Is this something that um, is this verifiable, right? So that's the other thing I want to be really mindful of. It's always important to verify as much as you can. Tip two is about getting product comparisons and recommendations, right? So, with so many options out there, you could actually use AI to help distill information to compare products. And so, for that example, we're going to compare the effectiveness of 2% minoxidil versus 5% minoxidil for female pattern hair loss. So let's look at that exercise. And we're going to, and one thing that I would think, one thing to be mindful of too is to ask it to provide links to articles or links to where it got this information. that gives you at least the tool and resource in a way for you to verify and double check, because it is not uncommon. I remember maybe about a year or so ago, I was using it and I asked it to find some scholarly articles on something, or to find some things, and it found a whole bunch of articles, and it came up with information. But then when I clicked on it to verify, I'm like, that's not what's in here. So if you're open to doing research, then this is going to be a great tool for you. If you just want like I just want to do it once and that's all I want to do, then this may not be the best tool for you. But if you're open to at least using it to help you get a head start on some information, or a head start on finding information, this is the tool for you.
So we're going to compare the effectiveness of minoxidil. Actually, we're going to include the side effects as well. Topical minoxidil at 2% versus 5% for female pattern baldness. I'm going to ask it to provide links to the articles and updates so we can verify that information, and of course, put the information in a table for easy access and reading. And so as you can see here, it's going to pull up the information. It's going to provide links to articles that support its recommendations. It also provides some products, which we're not interested in right now. But you can see there, it goes over the effectiveness, the time to results, side effects, and even usage recommendations. All great information to help us make informed decisions.
The other thing that I'll say and that I recommend is also, um, really, the best way I could say this is like bathing everything in prayer, like really asking God for wisdom and discernment and understanding as you're even asking these questions. All wisdom comes from God, all truth comes from God. So he can use any mechanism that he wants to get us the information in terms of what we might need or what we're seeking, right? Asking, you'll receive, seeking you'll find. So we want to ask, we want to seek, and we also want to use discernment when it comes to identifying what might be a great tool or resource or a strategy for us on this process. So all that to say, always pray. So our third tip is connected to nutrition. We have had so many guests on this channel that have talked to us about the importance of nutrition and using food to fuel and heal our bodies. And so, one cool, fun way is to use AI to help with nutrition and with meal planning. So, let's take a look and see what that looks like.
So we're going to ask Copilot to design a meal plan for us. We're going to make it a 3-day meal plan. We want it to have lunch and dinner. We want it to be high in biotin and iron and omega 3s, because we all know that those have been beneficial for us. And actually, this is where you definitely do the personalization, right? So I put in here to make it to not include dairy. But again, based upon the nutrition and the nutrients that you're looking for, this is a great way to get started. We're going to ask it to create a shopping list and again, place the information in the table. And it's going to give us a pretty basic level. You can go so many layers deep with this. And so I just wanted to give you an example. I think I've done it times where I've asked it for high protein and low fiber, or there's so many things you can do. It actually can even find recipes from your favorite content creators. There's just so much it can do on your behalf. And so again, you can also set this information up so that you can download it in an Excel, you can download it in Docs. All of it can be customizable, and you can create a plan that works best for you.
And this is one small tip that might make it easier to help incorporate more nutrient dense foods in the recipe and the meal planning, particularly for those who do not enjoy that part of the process. So, the fourth tip is around communicating with our hair care providers. You can use AI to help organize your thoughts and your concerns. And so, this is a great tool if you're trying to, you have an appointment coming up and you want to be able to make sure you're sharing as much information as possible with your physician. You can use AI to help you um, communicate with your provider. And here's how you can do that.
So we're going to ask Copilot to help me write a concise summary of my hair loss history. And then we're going to ask, what information do you need from me? And so you'll see there it's going to ask different questions. It's going to give you prompts and things to think about. So what you can do is write all those things down, and that'll give you a pretty comprehensive summary that you can use in preparation for your visit with your dermatologist. And you'll see down here it gives you some additional questions. Let's click on that one, and then we're going to ask it to give us some questions that we can even ask. And we can then take that same information, download it ourselves, and then also use those questions to inform our discussions and conversations with our hair care providers.
Always, we're going to always want to be as thorough as possible when communicating with our providers, and also asking great questions, and asking for their specific guidance around some of these areas. So now let's talk about some caveats and some considerations when using AI. First, like I said earlier, pray about it all, pray about everything. And then secondly, I don't know if I'm going to number these because they might be longer. So secondly, always remember that AI does not replace professional guidance and professional feedback and professional recommendations. I look at it as, again, a supplement, a supplemental tool that you can use to help you along the way. Always consult your healthcare providers for diagnosis, for treatment options. Even I strongly do not recommend going in and trying to find something and self-diagnose or come up with your own treatment plan. That's just me. But I would, or if you do come up with it, come up with something, then work with another professional, to another, medical professional, to, does this make sense? Does this align with um, current practices? So things like that. The other thing to be mindful of is AI may not have the latest information and research. I think some of these models go up to 2023 for some of the data and the information. I think some of the paid models might even be even more relevant in terms of the time and the dating of their content. So just be mindful of that. I do a lot of research looking for articles and things, and sometimes it's hit or miss with that. The other thing is that AI really is providing a lot of general information, so it may not be individual, specific, and unique to you. So just be careful of attributing what might be general information to your specific unique experience, which is, again, it's important to have a multitude of counselors on this process um, in terms of getting diagnosis and treatment options and support. The other thing is to be mindful of biases. It's been documented, noted, very clear with technology, with AI, that there are unfortunately sometimes biases baked into the system. And so just be mindful of that in terms of being able to think critically about the information that you do receive. And the last tip is that it may take a couple of times to try to get you to what your final product is. It may not be just to put it in here and then you have all of the answers and have the, everything at your fingertips, without having to do a little bit more clarification, or asking another layer of questions, or going around it a different way. But as with anything, nothing in life, quite frankly, is instant. We are in a process of learning, and this is another learning tool that we can have and that we can use. But it is one, nonetheless, that can be an amazing assistant, an amazing support system to help on the journey, and to maybe help expedite or get you closer to some of the things that you're trying to get to in terms of finding a doctor, figuring out some nutrition tips, looking at medications and trying to assess what might be the best medication for you and for your experience. Again, it's not going to tell you everything, but it might get you a little bit closer to getting some more information so you can make the best informed decision for you. Hopefully this content is helpful for you. I love using AI, and I love exploring different ways that I can use it. Do you use it? How have you used it? Is the question. So leave that in the comments below. Would love to hear from you. And as always, live well, live blessed, nourish your crown, and I'll see you in the next video.